Here's the old fellow himself.
How are you this morning?
Pretty bad. Pretty bad at all. The motor that you see the end of it sitting there, that hydraulic motor, lightning hit it about a month ago, burnt the fields out on it. We were shut down for a week for that, waiting to have that repaired. We can grind it. Grind it with a jockey grinder. Apply the teeth cement with a wrench. The teeth we're using, them saws, are about $1.40 a tooth. The ones that's in the head saw that cuts the logs are carbides, and they're around $5 a tooth. Cut is quite important, and the idea is where you can see a split on the end, set it on the corner so that each end of the split will be on a corner of a square. And it's the same thing with knots. There's a limb cut off and the big knot, you better put it on the corner, and then it won't show up in the board, because a knot in the center of a board degrades it more than a knot just on the edge of the board. Then you can right off and cut a knot off, or take it out of the board with the edge. just done by practice. You can't do it just in a first time or two you sit in there. You've got to practice that. You got to be able to do it without thinking. Setting the dog, setting the bunks in and out. Through years of experience, you can guess what the inside of that board is going to look like before it's cut. There's Garth onto that corner in that log again, see? The thicker the lumber you can cut in hardwood, the more money you can get. So you're always looking for, if you can make a 2-inch plank instead of a 1, it's worth more money per board foot. For instance, one common 1-inch today in maple would maybe be worth $1,200. One common in a 2-inch plank would be worth roughly $2,000. So that ups your money. Also your yield, because your sawdust is quite a thing too. Like a saw cut takes out a good 1/2 inch. With the extra you have to add to it. 2-inch plank has to be cut 2 1/4 inches thick in order to be heavy enough for them to cut. A 1-inch board has to be cut 1 1/8 to make the grade. You're giving away a little bit of lumber all the time. They grade a board from the poorest side, and the poorest side is generally the inside. When a tree is small, it has limbs generally right to the ground or close to, and as the tree gets bigger, the limbs fall off, break off, die off, and it grows out, like it will grow over, and then you're into clearer boards. The bigger the log, the more clear lumber you get. That's why we have these earplugs. Nobody heard tell of earplugs in my younger days. And I guess that's the reason I'm half deaf now. Oh, we cut 100 and up to 160 logs in a day, in 8 hours. That's a fast-growing tree. That's why that's good. That has big growth rings, and you get a tree that's growing on a starvation diet or a small amount of soil. The grain will be very, very small and not as nice a grain as that. That was on a real good piece of soil. You don't see that in every log. That's a nice log. You can count one ring per year. It would likely be 60 years old, not right from a sapling. 25 years from what we've left to get up to log size again. About 25 years, some would less. We have harvested some in 20 and 22 years growth from the last time it was cut. I used to work in Witcher's mill each fall for about 3 falls. I liked that job. I liked the fresh air and the clean work. Then I bought the farm here. So I bought straw stacks all over the country from farmers thrashing. So I could buy a stack for $20 to $50, bale it up with square bales and bring it home. But that soon petered out because they went to combines and they baled their own straw and put it in. When I was 10 or 12 years old, I used to shovel sawdust away from under the saw. We had no sawdust conveyor or anything on it, so I knew that there was an awful lot of sawdust produced in a sawmill. So I went to a sawmill for bedding for the cattle, and it worked quite well, and I soon had a surplus, lots of surplus of sawdust, and I had to give it away to get rid of it. That's why I started the sawmill. And we still get about $30 or $35 for a stock truckload of sawdust, and bedding for our own cattle or whatever we need. It seems to have paid off because we're still sawing lumber, and after about more than 30 years. We really started in 1964, and I built a new mill in 72, and it's the one I'm using today. There hasn't been many things changed about it. This thing is a bevel bearing machine, and there's a lot of oiling to that before you can start planing every time. There's a lot of oil spots, a lot of oil holes and drips to make sure that it has oil, or you'll burn a bearing out. I like that old machine. It's so easy to set up.
A little pry up with a stick.
It will cut 15 inches wide and 6 inches deep. That's new in 1929. It's a 91 Yates. I bought it used from Belting Lumber in Sarnia. It weighs about, I didn't bring it all in one truckload, and it was a 10-ton load, one chunk, and about a 2 or 3 ton chunk. The tail stock where you feed it was another piece with a mandrel on it. It's a pretty heavy machine, and it's nice and easy to work on. Like, you can change heads. That's what we're doing there now, is changing heads. I got quite a few heads when I bought that planer, different things. Tugging group or 1 inch tugging group or 2 inch. I got a bunch of blades, even doing 3 inch tugging group. They sometimes use 3 inch in barges and railway cars and so on.
Graham, take the four-wheeler and go up and get rates to come down and set that bundle of lumber on. Put a couple of skids on the truck. You can buddy, you have to adjust that. Oh, you want to move it a little wee bit. Oh! Hey, you can see it right there. 1/4 to 1 inch. Oh. That moving now? Yeah. Back? Yeah. How far to go? Must have moved south. Yeah.
That's a split pulley. Split pulleys are always flat. All the other pulleys on that machine has crowns. Molded on the center of the crown. Shaft. Jack shaft is supposed to run 1100. So when that's running 1100, the heads are running I forgot now whether it's 3000 or 3500. But that's about the limit you can run bevel bearings. Yeah, when I set that planer up, I had a generator for running a 550 volt down that planing shed, and it didn't have enough zip to run that planer. It takes 75 horse electric to drive it. So I had to put the tractor on, but it works well. I haven't changed anything. Try moving that lever up and down. Yeah. Just leave her there for a minute. I should almost try that and see. Better try that. I couldn't figure why them necks were chiseled out of that belt. What was doing it? It was rubbing on the head of a bolt, and it had moved over an inch on the pulley. And as I mentioned before about the crown on the pulley, it had got shifted. The bearings are set on set screws. You can line it right up dead on so that the belt runs in the center, and it had got out of adjustment some way or other. I don't know. That's the first that had happened, and I was lucky I hit it back to where it was supposed to be the first try.
So you put it in the middle, yeah.
typical. You either carry the lumber upstairs or down in the basement. It's never unloaded in the level.